Umpire Mag feed, and I can't wait to go across the pond to listen to Across the Pod, fresh out of Wales. Special stuff. Cheers.
Hello everyone, Andy here, and here's what you can look forward to in today's episode. In today's episode, in Team Season Preview 27 out of 32, I was joined by Kansas City Chiefs fan Brad Symcox as we look ahead to the team's upcoming season. Brad discusses his time in Pittsburgh as the International Fan of the Year.
I was looking up to do a fourth round draft pick, which I've reached out to him and we've messaged on social media and stuff.
Brad also discusses the offensive line concerns.
It's not a fully new offensive line, but the left and right seems to be has always been a kind of a real big issue.
And I asked Brad about the return from injury for Patrick Mahomes and much more, as Brad predicts the team's end of season record in our win, loss or tie segment. Hope you all enjoy. What are you expecting from his return? Are you expecting him to come back straight away and be the Mahomes we all know? Are you expecting a slow burn? Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Across the Pod NFL podcast. I am, as ever, your host today, Andy Davis, and as you can see, we are today focusing on the Kansas City Chiefs in our latest season preview. Now, before I introduce our guest, this podcast is sponsored by Fantasy Game Day app. Use code ANDY5 at checkout for money back off your first paid lineup. Now, with me, I've got a returning guest. He is well known to listeners by now. He is our resident Chiefs fan, been on last season preview and the year before that and the year before that. Back on the show is not only a Chiefs fan, but the reigning Chiefs International Fan of the Year. Back on the show is Brad Symcox. Brad, welcome back.
How are we doing, Andy? Hey, I tell you what, lots changed since I've been on last time.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, first of all, there was no playoffs, so we wouldn't have seen you in the playoffs coming on for those episodes. So a lot's happened since, and one of them was, you being named International Fan of the Year. There was an amazing video that I saw when they came to your house and surprised you with being named International Fan of the Year. And then, of course, you went out to Pittsburgh and did the draft pick on there. And this is a real, I said it before, a real International Fan of the Year week we're recording, because a few episodes ago we had Jets Fan of the Year and Cook on. And our next recording is going to be the Vikings, where Vikings fan John McDonald comes back to the show and previews their season. And he'll talk about his time as well in Pittsburgh. But for you, Brad, and detailed his experience wonderfully. How was it for you?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much really a similar kind of viewpoint on it, I suppose. Ant and I really kind of hit it off as soon as we found out that literally we only lived down the road from each other, which was crazy. Two International Fans of the Year from two different teams, literally only like half an hour away in the car. It's it was quite spooky. We kind of hit it off straight away, me and Ant. And when we all met up in Pittsburgh, obviously we're all in the same hotel. Got to meet John, and I got to meet the likes of Wayne, obviously from the Dolphins, and loads of different fans from all over the world, really. And to put us all in the same hotel was fantastic. It was a great call by the NFL to do that, because we really built a good rapport during that week. And we kind of had each other's backs all the time. We knew it was such a huge honor to get the International Fan of the Year. We've got the patch and everything like that. We protect it with pride. We love it, absolutely love it, and we wear it wherever we go. It's it's something to be proud of, and to represent your team in the NFL, and being lucky enough to do a draft pick as well. I mean, I was lucky enough to do a fourth round draft pick, which I've reached out to him, and we've messaged on social media and stuff, and I've wished him well, and by the sounds of it, he's doing really well in the Chiefs camp right now, so which is good. But the whole Pittsburgh experience was, I didn't know what to really expect at the time, because you think of a steel city, don't you? You think it's going to be a bit of a dive, it's going to be industrial. But it really wasn't. It was such a surprise how clean the city was, how wonderful it was. And I get we're going to see it on a good day. We're going to see it at the best of its time. But even the Steelers fans, I mean, I've had beef with Steelers fans before on social media, and when I used to do the Brit Chief videos on YouTube and stuff like that, I used to get some real hatred from some of the Steelers. But when you actually reach out to them, you see them in their own city, they're really proud. And they're really nice people as well. As soon as they saw us with wearing obviously the International Fans of the Year patches, they were asking, what was it all about? Why are you here? Where have you come from? And just really nice people. So the NFL can really throw on a shindig for sure. I mean, we see it with the Super Bowl and everything like that, but the draft is something else, man. If you ever get a chance to experience an NFL draft, you've got to go. It's amazing.
It always looks incredible, and the one I always think of the most when it comes to like a fan experience is the Nashville one they had. For a while, it was always done in the same place, Radio City Music Hall in New York, and I can't remember what year they changed that, but I do remember that Nashville one and just seeing that's the famous Nashville Strip, which is very close, like a 10-minute walk from the stadium. But that famous strip that everyone, I think we're seeing more and more now because Nashville is becoming quite a tourist hotspot with the rise of country in the UK. But that strip you always see. I can remember clear as daylight watching that draft. And I remember, I think it was the one where Kyler Murray was drafted first overall. But I remember just seeing that long street of fans. I'm thinking, wow, this is really, it really hits you just how many fans turn up for these events. And obviously since then we've seen it more and more. Obviously your team's played a few years ago, Kansas City, Detroit. I think Buffalo have got it either next year or the year afterwards, and that is an incredible place for football fans. Like as a fan base, a bit like Pittsburgh, they're very proud. Buffalo is the life and soul, the Bills, are the life and soul of Buffalo. So I've always thought, these kind of draft experiences look amazing for the fans. A lot of people, I've seen some of the queues fans have to go in to get in. So I'm not sure I feel about having to queue that long, but I'm sure, once you're in, it is an incredible experience. And of course, you would have had the experience of being near the front. You were one of the fans near the stage, but also what you had that not many fans can say you did was announce a draft pick on stage. I mean, that was something where, you have fans who they go to stadiums and they can say, I went to that stadium, I saw that game, but not many fans can say they've announced their team's draft pick on stage, which was taken on Jaden Kennedy, the safety out of Oregon. Just explain for us, because I remember having obviously Anne Kim on the other day, and we had Dan Hambridge and Ryan and James as well. These fans gave us details back then, but for you, explain to the audience that detail and that experience of what it was like, just the build up around it, and kind of when you got told you were going on stage, and then that walk you had, which probably felt long from the backstage to the stage itself, and you see all those thousands of people looking at you.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the, as an NFL fan, obviously you'll know this, Andy, as well. You've clearly practiced it in the mirror after you've got out of the shower, and you've done a draft pick yourself, haven't you? You've made a name up, and you've said, you've done the whole spiel of, the Kansas City Chiefs select, blah blah blah, and you kind of big yourself up for that moment, because you just think, am I ever going to get a chance to do it? It'd be wonderful if I could, but we're very lucky. With the fact that we've been able to have that experience, and like you said, not many people get the chance to do it. And there is a lot of pressure to obviously get it right, but especially in the kind of fourth round pick, they tell you behind the stage, they line you up basically, because they have about there's one ready to go on, and I think there's about three ready behind as well. So anything can happen though, because you could be sat waiting, and then all of a sudden there's a trade happen, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you need to go and sit back down again." All of a sudden it's like they bring somebody else in because the Chiefs have traded, etc. So you stood there thinking, "God, don't trade now, don't trade back, because I want my moment. I really want the moment." And it is a personal moment. It really is, because even though you're representing your team, and you really kind of want to give a good insight into your fan base and stuff like that, they only tell you, read what's on the card. Now, a lot of people probably laugh at that, because I went off on a bit of a ramble when I got up to the microphone. But the walk up to it was weird. It was surreal. I mean, I saw Colleen there. She was coming just off the stage as I was walking, and I'm walking on. I'm going, "Oh my God!" I high-fived her just out of like natural, like I've seen her all the time on TV, and I just high-fived her, and she was like so accommodating to high five. It was brilliant. Never washed his hand again. So you walk on the stage, and you walk from obviously the side of there's a bit of a wall before you walk on, and then you just see hundreds of thousands of people looking back at you, and you think, wow, I'm living an out of body experience. You feel like a rock star. You're walking onto a stage with that many people. And I was lucky they didn't boo me. They didn't boo me, which was good. I thought I was going to get booed being a Chiefs fan, but walked on stage. They probably did boo me. I don't know. I didn't even hear it. But you walk up to the microphone, and I thought, this is my moment to say something. And I just wanted to give back something to the Pittsburgh fans and just say, this was such an amazing city. Thank you so much for making us all feel welcome here. And on behalf of obviously the international fans, thank you so much for this. And then I went on a bit of a ramble and said a big shout out to Arrowheads Abroad, obviously the guys in the UK, and obviously my main guy Tom Childs as well, because I did ask Tom to actually come over, but he couldn't. He was going to his brother's wedding, which duties, man. He had his priorities right. He had to go and be the best man at his brother's wedding. So I had to give him a shout out. So, but I didn't realize this at the time, but apparently Rich Eisen was commentating on the fact that I was rambling on, and I'd kind of stopped me ramble, and I said, "Right, let's get on with it." He went, "Yeah, let's."
Oh yeah, I remember that now. I was trying to think. I remember him saying something by this.
Yeah. So he kind of slam dunked me there, but like I said, it was an amazing experience, and to announce Jaden Kennedy as well. And like I said, I've reached out to him, and I've even got his jersey. I've actually got the first jersey, which I paid for myself. I didn't get this from anyone. I got it made and everything. And then I said to him, I think this is probably the first Chiefs jersey that's probably been printed. So I just had to make sure that I'd got it, and I'm supporting the guy, and hope he does well, really do. And apparently, according to training camp, he's doing all right at the minute. So all fingers crossed.
Well, yeah, that's an amazing experience. That really is a real unique experience that not many can say they did. And talking of draft picks, I mean, the one that I thought was an amazing kind of moment on stage was when I'm guessing you met her, the Ravens fan Jamie, where she said about Pittsburgh fans, I'll keep this short, like your postseason. That was the ultimate mic drop of possible draft picks. That was like, yeah.
Do you know how loud the boos were from that one? Oh man, she slayed it. She absolutely slayed it. But I mean, they were giving her grief when she walked on anyway. And I think she just thought, right, I'm just firing it right back at you. And fair plays to her. But she was brilliant. She actually just cool as a cucumber, just nailed it.
Fair play to her. She had quite an experience. I think she also went into the Ravens practice, I think, one day.
She did. Yeah, she went. I think she went before the draft. Yeah.
Wow, amazing! Really, really own that moment. But let's head on now to the Chiefs and this upcoming season and the ins and outs of the off season. So, in the off season, you added in the likes of Kenneth Walker III, running back out of Seattle, the reigning Super Bowl MVP. Also brought in the likes of Amari DiMercado, Kade Kohu, Kaya Elam. You also, re-signed the likes of Travis Kelce, Tyquan Thornton, Jack Cochrane, L'Jarius Sneed, and you did trade for Wanya Morris from the Falcons. You did give them a 6th round pick for next year's draft, and you gave them a 7th round pick for next year's draft as well. And also you traded for Justin Fields from the Jets, giving them a 6th round selection in next year's draft as well. And you traded away Trent McDuffie to the Rams in exchange for a 1st round, a 5th round, and 6th round pick in this year's draft, and a 3rd rounder from next year. And you also lost the likes of Jalen Watson, Brian Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Gardner Minshew, Marquise Brown, Damian Pierce, Mike Danner, and Jawan Taylor. And then finally in the draft, you traded up to get Mansell Delane, cornerback out of LSU, via the Browns, 6th overall, as well as Peter Woods, defensive tackle in the 29th overall pick. Also took R. Mason Thomas, 40th overall. And of course, the pick you announced on stage, Jaden Kennedy, 109th overall, as well as Emmett Johnson and Cyrus Allen in the 5th, and Garrett Nussmeier, quarterback out of LSU. Brad, overall for you, what was your take on the offseason?
To be honest, I mean, it's been a bit of a quiet one, to be honest. And I mean, as you've read out the list of names there's not a lot of big names that are actually coming in. There's quite a few obviously been going out. And, I think it was clear after the season that the Chiefs had, it feels like it was a bit of a clearing the decks moment. That's what it felt like. And I'll be honest, I actually didn't think at the time that the likes of Travis Kelce was going to be coming back. Obviously, he had a wedding to plan and things like that. And I was fully expecting him to just go, right, hanging up the boots. I'm just going to concentrate on podcasting and being Mr. Swift for the rest of my days. But it was never something like that. We never really used to a lot of big news, big changes happening in the off season for the Chiefs. We've kind of kept the same old. We've kept the core of the team, which is probably the most important thing. None of the kind of huge megastars that we've got in there have actually gone or retired or whatever, which is obviously a big thing. And it's now just kind of bolting on, getting more youthful, getting more speedier about so a lot of the players. And I think that's what we've pretty much done this season. I think Veach is doing a solid job yet again, silently just gathering in some quality in there. I mean, if reading out the the draft class there's a lot of good quality in that, which we've seen in Chiefs camp right now, which is really kind of we feel like he might have nailed this one. Obviously, it's Chiefs camp. It's pre-season. You can't get too excited by a lot of these, but there's a lot of good moments happening in Chiefs camp right now, which is great. Really looking forward to seeing all that happening in anger and actually in the games during the season. So it is an exciting time. I mean, we're bringing in K9, which is that was the biggest one for me. I think with Mahomes obviously getting injured, and a really bad injury that he had as well, ACL and MCL, I think it might have been, where he actually ruptured. So I think it was keen then to get a well-established running game going. Isaiah Pacheco's obviously, he's done really phenomenally well for the Chiefs, but we could see last year that he'd probably lost a yard or two. Didn't really have it because he had a bit of a nasty injury the year before. So it was I'm really happy that the fact that we've got the likes of Kenneth Walker now, because I feel like Mahomes is at the stage of his career where he probably needs an established run game. It can't be Super Mahomes all the time, and I think it was proven last year. Too much was going on. There was there's been a lot of reliance on Mahomes over the years, and it came to a head last season. And I think a lot of Chiefs fans accepted that. But I think the run game's really going to kind of change things in the new season.
Yeah, we'll mention Mahomes in a minute, but I want to quickly touch on a bit of something. I don't know whether you know this happened, Brad, but do you remember the Channel 5 show NFL End Zone that was out for a few years in the UK?
Yes, yeah.
So the first year they brought it out, they went to a high school and interviewed players, and one of them had this amazing confidence, confidence and swagger for someone who was in high school. And they put his name on the TV coverage, and I sort of kept an eye on him and see what he was doing. It was Garrett Nussmeier. He was on NFL End Zone in the first year. So when I saw he then became a LSU quarterback, and he started to play games as a starter. And now he's at the Chiefs. So I was always intrigued whether he'd end up in the NFL, whether he'd just be a high school player or maybe a college player. But he fair play to him. I don't know whether he'll play much in Kansas City, but no, he fair play to him. He's got the move to play alongside the best quarterback of his current generation in Mahomes. And speaking of Mahomes, injury, of course, massive thing. Now, his first real setback in his career, his first year last year, missing the playoffs. Never happened before. Before that, his earliest exit was the AFC Championship, and even that, one of them was in overtime. So he's had a down year. The team's had a down year. The injury happens. They only get 6 wins. I mean, it was a really difficult season for Chiefs fans and Chiefs players and the organisation. But he's coming back now, and you mentioned the MCL tear and all that. How are you seeing him? Obviously, the consensus is, I mean, we'll get on to week 1 later on, but this is the game that we all thought at one point it'd be 2 backups playing in that Monday Night Football, Chiefs Broncos. But the signs are pointing towards him starting week 1. Mm-hmm. What are you expecting from his return? Are you expecting him to come back straight away and be the Mahomes we all know? Are you expecting a slow burn? What are you expecting out of Mahomes' return from injury?
I think it's pretty much what I was saying before about the obviously the understanding of establishing a run game now with the Chiefs, because I think after such an injury like that, obviously it's going to slow you down. I should know. I've had an ACL ruptured literally clean through, and you do lose speed. You do lose a lot of that confidence on your on your legs when you're playing the game again that you love. But so I'm expecting that. I'm expecting a little bit of nervousness from him, because like I said, it's not a nice injury to have, and you suddenly feel that's more of a weakness, even though it's probably going to be the strongest side, because that's the thing that you're going to be building up the most. My left leg now, which was an ACL rupture, is now probably the strongest leg than my right leg now. But there's still that worry that you think, is it going to go again? It's been rebuilt once, what happens the next time if it goes again, or if somebody lands on it differently or something like that. So that's always in your mind. But I mean, Mahomes is a completely different. I'm not trying to compare my mental state with one of the best in the league, because Mahomes is very much built different. He's built like a champion, and he's taken to this Chiefs camp like there's no issue. I mean, he's got a brace on his leg and everything like that, but he's jumping around after touchdowns, and he's jumping around after throwing a dime pass or anything like that. He's really kind of like testing it out just by his celebrations sometimes. So you're seeing that quite a bit. I mean, obviously the Chiefs have yellow shirted him for the whole kind of camp at the minute, and he's not going to get a lot of the players 100%, but. Yeah, he seems to be having fun out there, and it doesn't seem to be bothering him that much. I think there's rumours that obviously he's not going to be playing the first preseason game, which I think is wise. It's only been 7 months removed since he actually did his injury. Now, normally what they say is it's 6 month recovery, and then you've got rehab after that anyway. So to get back after 7 months is absolutely wild. That he's here, and he's probably going to be in contention to actually start the first game of the season. So. There's a lot of optimism, but I also think as well the Chiefs really can't be rushing him back yet. I think there's still a bit of an issue on the right side of that offensive line that needs to be reassured. I think we're doing all right with the left side, and obviously the interior is looking really good always anyway. But it's pretty much that right side that I think the Chiefs are going to go, let's test that first, then put our big guy in there. Our main talisman player in there, because I don't think they're really comfortable with that right side right now. So, all in all, it's positive, but I don't think we're expecting massive miracles out of him straight away. I mean, the miracle enough is just actually getting back on the field, which it will be insane to see in week 1, because I think a lot of us were thinking it was going to be after about week 4 that he was going to be ready to go. So, who knows what the Chiefs have got planned, but it's all going positive right now.
Yeah, I mean, kind of, if you think about gently easing him in, if you take away, week 1, Denver Broncos, your schedule up until your week 5 bye is quite favourable. You've got the Colts, the Dolphins, and then the Raiders. I mean, that's 3 games there that you could probably. I don't think he's going to need to be at his best to win the game. So, it's tough. I mean. The thing is, you could go, right, we're going to play the backup for a few weeks, let him gently. If he was to be out the first 4 weeks, for example, if it was week 5, week 6, as you were saying, we've seen other quarterbacks come in the backups and not do well. So they've probably seen that and gone, right, we can't really fall in a tough division to start, 1 and 2, 1 and 3. So there's pressure on him to start straight away and get him wins, because, it's, I think if you start that division with 1 and 3, it's a tough way to come back. So, I can see why they're playing him. I would worry a little bit about him potentially re-aggravating the injury if they rushed him back too soon.
Yeah.
But the way modern science works, we're seeing players in all kinds of walk of life, all different sports, recovering from injury a lot quicker than they once used to. So I'm sure that they've done all their due diligence and they know exactly what they're doing medically. But I would worry a little bit about if it re-aggravates.
Yeah, and it's like I was touching on before. I think the Chiefs just want to make sure that they've got the right personnel in that offensive line first before they actually put him in. So I think the preseason is going to be good for that to really kind of get a look of how this kind of it's not a fully new offensive line, but the left and right seems to be has always been a kind of a real big issue for quite some seasons now. I mean, yeah, we have obviously the right tackle kind of sorted last few seasons, but again, with it was Jalen Watson, I think it was, wasn't it? Who was always lining up, and he was jumping off, jumping early and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of penalties through him, but now we've got a really kind of glaringly obvious hole in that offensive line, which is the right tackle. Every other position seems sorted, so I think it's wise. I think the Chiefs keep Mahomes out of it, throw somebody in there, throw some of the backups, and just see. Is that right tackle position a bit of a problem still? If so, we'll probably get somebody through free agency to kind of shore that up. But yeah, let's not use Mahomes and test that theory. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the thing that I don't like is we had it last year as well. We had a really early bye week. I hate those. I like it like slap bang in the middle, maybe like week 9, week 10. And to have another early one again, I don't like them. And I think that's really kind of what threw us off last year as well. Getting the early bye week was, I've never liked them for any team, to be honest. I think they should be right slap bang in the middle of the season, to be honest. But that's my opinion. Not going to listen to me, are they?
No, I do agree, though. I think, especially if you're a team who's challenging for playoffs and Super Bowls, I think the best time to have a bye is week 14. For me, that is perfect because it gives you that little bit of a rest before the serious stuff starts and it gets towards playoff football. I think we've got like a week 6 bye this year, and obviously we're not going to be challenging for Super Bowls at all, even many wins. But yeah, I don't like, especially week 5 bye. It just seems incredibly early for a bye week. I know there is talk about, isn't there? There's talk about having 2 bye weeks in the season and making it an 18-week season, which I think would be, that would be ideal. You get more weeks of NFL football, but also the players get more rest. So, yeah, I'm not against if they put that rule in, which I think they will, which is why they haven't yet announced the date for the Atlanta Super Bowl, because they want to. I think they're going to potentially announce a later date than normal. But no, I think absolutely you get 2 bye weeks in the season, and I think that's ideal. That is ideal. What might not be ideal is part of your defensive line. Now, obviously, there's 2 parts of it, very top heavy. I mean, you've got the left side, it's George Karlaftis on the edge and Chris Jones as one of the tackles. But then in that kind of 4-3 formation, you've then got Felix Anadike Uzuma and Kairos Tonga, the defensive end and tackle, respectively. Does that worry you, that side of it? Because we know the talent of Karlaftis and Chris Jones is old, but still very experienced and still on his day a great player. So that bit, I'm sure it's fine. You might think differently, but that other side, when you got Tonga and Anadike Uzuma, with kind of the players you're coming up against every week, looking at this, you've got likes of Cortland Sutton and Jalen Waddle. You think about kind of running back room, A-Chain week 3, Seahawks week 7. They've got obviously JSN and Charbonnet, and then Denver Broncos. It's a tough league, and you're going to play against these players every week. But does that part of the D line worry you a little bit? That right side?
Yeah, I think it's not. I think it's glaringly obvious what's the issue there on that defensive line right now. It's definitely the right side. Again, it's the flip side of the offensive. The offensive line, right side seems to be a problem on both sides, and it is obviously the biggest question mark so far. I think. I mean, it's not necessarily a crisis yet, but it's like it is quite a big issue. But I think moving on from the likes of Mike Dana, which he was a fan favorite. Mike Dana was, he always put a good shift in. And obviously Charles Omenihu as well, which it took a lot of the kind of defensive snaps away from what we had from the likes of last season. So it's kind of like rested on George Karlaftis to kind of generate a lot of this pressure, which is a bit unfair, really, because I mean George Karlaftis is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not going to generate a lot of sacks. He's going to generate a lot of pressure, and he's very good at obviously setting the edge as well, and making sure that the the pocket will collapse around him, around the quarterback eventually. And he does a lot in that respect. But it's obviously that right hand side that I think we need. And from the sounds of it, I think Felix has been doing all right in Chiefs camp. I think he got into a fight the other day actually, so he seems to be a bit fired up. But obviously we've got the new guy, our Mason Thomas as well, which hopefully we're going to see those guys replacing those snaps and obviously generating a lot more pressure opposite Kalafdis. We've got Gelotti as well, Ashton Gelotti, who's again having a decent enough training camp, but they're not generating enough like wow factor right now. But again, it's training camp. You're probably not going to get the best out of that. We never used to get the best out of Derek Thomason during training camp, and look what happened during game time. He was absolutely phenomenal. So, I think it's the proof will be in the pudding, obviously, when we get into week one and just see how that right side's going to be. But I think the interesting thing about this defensive line is actually Woods, number 99, Woods. I like that number. I don't know about you, but I like that number on a play. Number 99. And from what we've been seeing of him, he's just like another Chris Jones. Absolutely just beasting players, throwing players left, right, and center. And that's probably going to really free up the likes of Chris Jones to get to the quarterback a lot quicker as well. So, it might not necessarily be as big an issue if we've got those two big behemoths coming at the offensive line. It might take a lot of the focus away from who is going to be eventually at right, on the D end. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who we actually plug in there. I think it's very much an open position right now because, like I said, I don't think the Chiefs are set on that position yet. But you're right, it is one of those areas that the Chiefs really kind of need to find a solution for quickly.
Well, let's head to our final segment, which is win, lose, or tie. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this part of the show, every fan that comes on predicts their team's overall record by going through each game and answering with the simple answer of win, lose, or tie. Now, Brad, the Chiefs in real life last year went 6-11. You came on a year ago for this episode. You straight off, a potential three-peat you couldn't quite do. Do you by chance remember what your prediction was 12 months ago?
Yeah, it was probably something crazy like 14 wins, I think it was. Was it that many?
It was 13-4.
13-4, right? Okay. No. Well, that was close, yeah. Yeah, I think that was a lot of the Chiefs arrogance, Chiefs fan arrogance coming out of me then, I think. I think we were ignoring the fact that the Chiefs haven't been great on offense for quite some time. And yeah, I think it kind of caught up with us in the end. But it's been a great decade so far.
I mean, I would happily swap in a heartbeat. If you could tell me in the next 10 years, we're going to go 6-11, a season after we go for a potential three-peat, and in the 10-year span, which has seen AFC Championship after AFC Championship, 3 Super Bowls, a further 2 appearances, one of the best quarterbacks, I say right now, the third best of all time in Mahomes. For me, it's a decade that I would swap in a heartbeat. I've seen no playoff wins. I've seen no division championships. I've seen no real great quarterback in the Dolphins history in my time. And also, I said it before, those in the show, there were Eagles fans 2 years ago who saw more playoff wins in that season they won it than I've seen in my whole career, in my whole time being a Dolphins fan, playoff appearances. So it goes to show the difference in some people I've seen 3 playoff losses. The Seahawks had 4 playoff wins last year, and the Eagles the same. So, I would happily swap that in a heartbeat. But we'll go on to week 1. You are at home for the Monday Night Football opener. You host the Broncos. Brad, win, lose, or tie?
It's going to be an interesting one because the Broncos are obviously suddenly the team to beat in the division, which has been a bit of a turnaround from previous years. But I think to be honest, I think we might lose this one because I think we're still obviously trying to find our feet and trying to understand what's happening with the obviously not just the the offensive line, obviously the defensive line, but obviously the DBs that we've got as well. We've got a young cohort of DBs there, which are probably going to try and get their eye in. So it might be just one of those cagey games. It's obviously an AFC West matchup there. So I think we're going to lose that one off the bat, unfortunately.
So week 2, you are sticking at home, and this one you are facing the Colts.
Yeah, they've been a bit of a bogey team for us, the Colts, over the years, haven't they? Yeah, it might be. Again, it could be a bit of a difficult one on this one. But I'm confident in the Chiefs are going to start picking up some wins at some point. I think the Colts at the minute, they had an okay season last year. I think the Chiefs probably find their feet in this second game, and we just scrape the win on this one. But I think it's going to be a run-heavy game, this one.
Well, week 3 will bring back a lot of nice memories, not just for the Chiefs players, but also yourself. You got a trip to Miami, which, of course, the stadium that you lifted Super Bowl 54.
Yeah, great memories. Absolutely brilliant time in Miami. Miami fans were great there at the time. And yeah, obviously the 49ers were there as well, which was they thought they were going to try and steal the party on that one. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great one. I think the Dolphins are a bit of turmoil at the minute. I do like some of the draft picks. Don't get me wrong. Speaking to some of the lads who were over there at Pittsburgh, they're quite excited by some of the draft picks they've got there. But I think right now, I think the Dolphins are there for the taking. So I think Chiefs get an easy win on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Seydou Touré is the one I think as British fans of the Dolphins are really excited about. We had the Dolphins season preview a few episodes ago with myself and Mark Bradley from Fins Nation UK, as well as Sam Moores. We kind of alternated. We had different games assigned to each of us. I got given this game. I went for a Dolphins win.
Hey, well, it's a good time to play the Chiefs right now. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I can see where you're coming from there.
That was exactly why I did say that. If it was in week 15, I would give us no chance. But I just think in week 3, Mahomes might just be not quite at his best. And Kenneth Walker, as good as a signing he could be, he has a lot of injury problems. And so, yeah, Kelsey, obviously, we know what's happening with him. So I just think if we're going to beat Chiefs any time in his Mahomes era, this is the best chance we'll ever have. But also, I just don't think we're a good enough team. But I just think you get these shock results now and again, especially early on in the season, and I just feel like maybe this could be a potential shock alert. But that is probably the Dolphins fan in me having hope rather than actual realistic expectations. Week 4, you're going from Miami to Vegas, living a life of a poker player. You are taking on the Raiders.
Yeah, I mean, is it going to be Mendoza starting, or is it going to be Cousins? Who knows? I think at the minute they're all obviously very excited at thinking that they found the next Mahomes in Mendoza. Don't get me wrong, great player from what I've seen of him. But I think at the minute, I think it's another time to kind of play the Raiders. I think it's a good time to play them, and I think the another AFC West matchup. It's never easy against the Raiders. I mean, we have the odd one where now and again we've blown them out, and I think everybody remembers when they actually danced on the Arrowhead logo, and they actually got their asses tore at them. But I think at the minute, I think obviously it's going to be a bit of a battle this one. So I think the Chiefs edge it. It's at the Raiders as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they've never beaten us in their own home yet. So, yeah, the Chiefs win on that one. Absolutely.
Well, week 5 is that dreaded bye week. So week 6, you are back at home, but this time taking on the Chargers.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what? I always forget about the Chargers. Every season, I always seem to forget about them. And they always seem to be touted as the AFC West champions before the season starts. I think actually this might be a difficult game. I think the Chargers are flying high at the minute. They've got a bit of wind beneath them, and I think they're going to find something in this game. Again, whether it's dependent on injuries and stuff like that with the Chiefs, but I think the Chargers might just scrape this one.
So week 7, it is the Kenneth Walker Bowl as you take a trip to Lumen Field and face the Seahawks.
Oh, Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl champions, very nice. I think you're right. I think if he's healthy and he's up for it, I think K9 might actually be he might be the determining factor in this. This is going to be his game. I think it's all going to be all about him, like you said. I think the Chiefs win this one.
Well, then week 8, you're taking a trip to Colorado and Mile High and taking on the Broncos.
Ooh, I don't know if we beat the Broncos this year. I really don't. Mixed bag so far, I think. And can you tell there's not much confidence coming out of me right now because of obviously the dodgy season we had last year, and we've got a kind of semi-broken Mahomes at the minute. I'm starting to think the Denver Broncos it might be another one of their years. I think this one. So I'm going to go with the Broncos win. They're going to do a double over us. Oh my God. I'm never going to get here the last of this in Chiefs Kingdom.
Well, week 9, you go from the Broncos to the Jets, and this time you're at home.
Win. Sorry, Ant. Win.
Oh, you'd be shocked if you heard what Ant's Jets prediction was for the end of the season. He was very optimistic, and I was not expecting the amount of wins he gave his team.
What, he said 2?
To be fair, you live quite 20 minutes away. Is there a chance that you two could watch this game together?
Yeah, we might. We were just saying actually we might have to meet up for a pint somewhere and watch the game together or something. But I think actually the UK fans, the UK international fans, there's quite a few of us. I think there's about 17 of us or something. I think we're all on about trying to get together at some point. But I mean, obviously we can't all. If the Mexican fans want to come and join us as well, I know, brilliant. It'd be great to have you with us. But I think they've already had one already. Actually, they've kind of got a bit of a get together and stuff. So I think the UK ones probably need to get together and watch some of these games. Should be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a summer evening. Let's do it that way. Week 10, you're back on the road, and this time taking a trip to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and taking on the Falcons.
I'm starting to think we gather a bit of pace here. I think we get a good few wins in a row, and I think obviously the Falcons are going to be another one. I think the Chiefs take on it here. I think we grab a good few wins in this kind of spell. So I think we win this one, and I think we win the next one as well.
I mean, that is I think for any team, the easiest game on paper, it's the Cardinals at home.
The Cardinals game. Have you seen the training camp?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I did say at the time, and I've kind of after seeing that video and kind of the more I've thought about their schedule, this is probably the nearest team we'll get, or we may get in a while, to going 0-17. I just think they're in a tough division anyway. They've got a tough schedule. I think my prediction is, my own personal opinion, I've looked at the schedule, is like a 1-2 win season. I think the one game they could win is the Jets, but everyone else is just a catalogue of contenders, division winners. It's such a, you got the worst starting quarterback in the league this season, certainly in week 1, and then you got the toughest schedule, and you're in the toughest division. It's just all round. It's all set for a first overall pick next year. I just don't see any way they win more than 1 or 2 games. It's just an incredibly tough season ahead. But of course, Arch Manning could be coming their way, so there'll be potentially for them light at the end of the tunnel. Well, having said that, just because his name's Manning, he's not guaranteed he's going to be good. So at some point, we had obviously their dad, Peyton, Eli's dad, and Eli and Peyton. There's no guarantee he's going to be.
Yeah, one of them's going to be crap, haven't they, at some point?
Exactly.
Can't all be good, surely.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got a good coaching staff there, at least, haven't they, in that family? Jeez.
Yeah, God, it's insane. It is insane. God, yeah, if you put that, I don't know, that LaFleur family coaching a Manning quarterback who's got Peyton, if you got, actually maybe I'm giving the LaFleur family too much credit, but certainly you put in, if you combine Eli Manning and Peyton Manning with Eli Manning in the postseason and Peyton in the regular season, you've got the best quarterback of all time, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll see if it happens.
Well, week 12 is the game we voted for in our top 10 games to look forward to the most this upcoming season. This was, I believe, number 1, Thanksgiving, Buffalo Bills at the new Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, new home as well, isn't it? I think we get absolutely drubbed in this game. I think Josh Allen in the regular season against the Chiefs is phenomenal. It's just when the playoffs come, he seems to fall out, literally fall off the stool a little bit. But I think during the season, the Buffalo Bills are just one of those kind of juggernauts that just seem to just steamroll through the season. So I think the Chiefs will find it difficult this time. And again, it's going to be an interesting one for the young DBs that we've got. See what happens there, whether Allen literally tears them apart or not. But yeah, I'm expecting a defeat on that one.
Yeah, Allen is actually the quarterback who's beaten Mahomes the most in his career, but he's also 0-4 in the playoffs against him. So it's he needs to fix that. I mean, you had a nice 3-game schedule there. You had Jets, Falcons, Cardinals, but the 3 you've got after that, you mentioned the Bills. You got the Rams on the road, and then the Bengals on the road. That is an incredibly tough 2-game schedule. Well, 3-game stretch.
Yeah, really difficult. Never like playing the Bengals. Never like playing them. They're just one of those teams that I just really cannot, just kind of throw them off in a way. It's the fan base is, they just get their claws into you and that's it. They just will not let go. So I think with the Bengals, I think in their own home turf as well against the Chiefs, a banged up Mahomes, and obviously an aging Kelsey. An aging Chris Jones. I think it's going to be. I think those 3 games are actually where we're going to actually get a few losses in, and I think there's going to be a bit of doubt creeping in for this one.
Yeah, I mean, so you're going to go with Bengals loss, Rams loss as well, or are you predicting?
Yeah, going to go with that as well. I think, like you said, it's a brutal stretch where they're actually away from home quite a bit.
So then, week 15, you are taking on the team that took your AFC throne last season. In the Bengals, in the Patriots. Yeah.
Was it luck? We don't know. I mean, we're probably going to find that out this year, whether it was just a lucky schedule or what. But I think Chiefs Patriots is always one of those fun games to watch. There's quite a bit of rivalry back then. So I always look forward to playing against the Patriots. I think it's just the ghost of Tom Brady. I think is always kind of on my mind whenever I look at that. But yeah, I think the Chiefs get a scrape a win on this one. But again, it's all dependent on whether we're healthy at this stage after the week 5 bye.
Well, in week 16 is the game that we're hoping to get you on the show, because you are taking on the 49ers, of course, the team that is followed by friend of the show, Paul Hope, who came on for the Niners season preview earlier this offseason. This is the game that will be your penultimate Arrowhead. How do you see this one?
I think it's probably the one that I'm really looking forward to, even though it's kind of like the last in the schedule, which, dependent obviously how the win-loss ratio goes, it could be a nothing game, or it could be, literally everything's all on the line here. So if it is that, these 2 teams always go toe to toe, and it's always good. It's always a good game to watch. But shout out to Paul Hope. He's a great guy. We've always talked for quite a few years now, and it's always good to meet up with him. And hopefully, if I can try and get a meet up with him at some point as well, with him and the UK Niners, it would be brilliant. It'd be really good to kind of set it up. But Chiefs at home is probably going to be the one that edges it. But the 49ers are no joke, put it that way.
No, and I think, I said it before, those on the show, that if they keep everyone healthy, I think they'll be right up there as a contender.
Yeah.
But that is a big if. That is a really big if. Week 17, your final road game of the regular season, you face a trip to LA and the Los Angeles Chargers.
Sorry, I think we lose. So I think that's it. Have I got the double there on? I think the Broncos have swept us, and I think the Chargers have swept us, haven't we?
Yeah. Then you swept the Raiders. Oh no, you played the Raiders last, but you beat the Raiders first time round. But
yeah. Ooh, it's not looking good, is it? Especially in the AFC West title race.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going into week 18 with 9-7, so that would probably not get you the division title. But a 10th win, trying to get a 10th win could be enough to get you as a wildcard team. I think the AFC is weaker than the NFC, so I think that might be enough to get you in. Brad, put it. Week 18, Raiders at home. For the final time this episode, win, lose, or tie.
I think we beat the Raiders. I think it's the only team we sweep this year.
Yeah, fair. Well, that means you go 10-7. So with that record, how far do you think you make the playoffs with 10 wins? And if so, how far do you think they'll go in the postseason with that record?
It's quite modest for me, isn't it? I don't think I've ever predicted 10-7 before. It's quite modest for me. I'm normally quite shouting from the rooftops, But I think it is one of these. I think this is the year where we're really kind of trying to rebuild this team a bit more. And like I said, we've got a few aging players in there that's kind of through our core of the team. So I think it's going to be a bit of a battle. It's going to be difficult to replace those players eventually when they do move on or do retire. So I think, I think it's going to be a tough season. I think they do get in through the wild cards. And they probably, I don't know, they might win the wild cards, but that's probably it, if I'm being honest. Again, very modest from me that, thinking that the Chiefs aren't going to steamroll again, but I do think there's this almost like kind of reset transition period that the Chiefs need to go through. And I think another winning season will be seen as a positive, and we build from that. But I think obviously with everything that happened last year, there's quite a few changes coming, I think.
Well, one thing I will say is that we had our last episode was New England Patriots. We had the Irish NFL show Shane Brennan on, and he feels that the Chiefs could actually make the Super Bowl. And I want to ask you about that because look at the AFC. The best two teams on paper are the Ravens and the Bills, but they've both got new head coaches, and there's no guarantee that's going to work out. Broncos have a good defense. Texans have a good defense, but the quarterback thing or Bo Nix's health, Stroud's interceptions, that's a concern there. There's looking at the Chargers have yet to do it in the postseason at all, whether it's with or without Jim Harbaugh. So I do feel there's a gap opening up for the Chiefs that they could find a way back in, certainly to the AFC Championship. Does that? Because I think if you were looking at what you got right now, if you were in the NFC, I would say there's zero chance you make the Super Bowl. But does that as kind of weaker conference and kind of the new changes in the top teams in the conference give you hope that potentially the Chiefs could surprise everyone and make the Super Bowl?
I mean, it's a possibility. It really is. But I think there's a lot of teams in the AFC West now that got their tails up. They smelled blood last year. And I think they've overcome that, that kind of like being afraid of the Chiefs. I think that's kind of like finally, they've kind of broken that curse a little bit. It was weird. And obviously with me saying there, there's a couple of teams in there that probably sweep us, but again, it's a bit of a toss up really. It's a bit of a toss of the coin really of some of those games. I think the Raiders games are obviously going to be played quite closely. I think the Chargers are probably going to be played quite closely as well. But I think it's that's the thing that's kind of dampening kind of my spirits a little bit on the fact that we really need to start refocusing and getting out of the AFC West as title winners first before we even start looking at what's happening, obviously with the playoff situation. But I think that's the thing that's kind of really kind of rocked me a little bit is how's the AFC West teams going to treat this year, because they really did smell blood last year, and I think like I said, I feel like they've got the tails up, which is interesting one I think with them.
Absolutely, and it will be an interesting season. I think if it's anything like that Hall of Fame game, we're in for quite a season.
Did you see that? That was like unreal. They just literally threw caution to the wind, didn't they?
Exactly. With no jeopardy involved, I can see how that happened. But no, that is the end of the show. So Brad, first of all, a massive thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, appreciate it, Andy. Anytime, mate. I've always enjoyed these shows. So, thanks for having me on again, mate. Really appreciate it.
Well, the pleasure's all mine, and you will hear Brad's voice again. I'm so sure of it during the season. And hopefully you and Paul can get that meetup going for week 16. But in the meantime, this has been our Chiefs season preview. I am, as ever, your host, Andy Davis, with our guest in Chiefs fan and Chiefs International Fan of the Year, Brad Symcox. And we'll see you guys for our next team season preview, which will be the Vikings and International Fan of the Year, John McDonald. We'll see you there.